It's probably the biggest myth in finance. We are constantly told to fear the next big recession. But the actual reality, well, the average retiree ends up losing way more money to bad habits than to market crashes. It's true. Your retirement is far more likely to be drained by just everyday decisions than by some sudden economic collapse. So in today's Explainer, we're going to dive right into the 7 mistakes that quietly drain retirement accounts and exactly what wealthy retirees do differently to fix every single one of them.
Okay, here is the agenda for our Explainer today. We're going to quickly cover the silent wealth drainers, cash and market myths, unseen healthcare and fees, family and withdrawal flaws, the retirement tax trap, and finally, building your wealth system.
Section 1. The Silent Wealth Drainers. Why habits actually beat luck. So here's the thing. Retirement accounts are rarely destroyed overnight. They usually suffer this slow, quiet leak thanks to deeply ingrained habits.
Moving right along to Section 2, Cash and Market Myths, and the psychological traps we fall into. These are the specific hurdles that feel incredibly safe in the moment, but are secretly sabotaging your financial future. Take mistake number 1, for example, hoarding cash. A lot of us sit on a massive mountain of cash because, well, it feels responsible, right? But cash is really just for near-term needs. It is absolutely not for long-term storage. When you hoard it, you aren't protecting your money, you are literally guaranteeing a loss, just disguised as safety.
Just look at the math here. If inflation runs at a 3% rate and your savings account pays, say, 0.5%, you are guaranteed to lose roughly $3,000 in purchasing power every single year for every 100 grand you have saved. To put that into perspective, the purchasing power of your hard-earned money is just melting away year after year. The wealthy fix? Keep just 1 to 2 years of living expenses in cash and leave the rest invested, working, and growing.
Mistake number 2 is trying to outguess the market. When things get rocky out there, jumping out and hiding in cash feels like the totally smart, logical move. But waiting for things to, calm down usually means you're going to miss the recovery entirely.
Time in the market beats timing the market. Here's a crazy statistic for you. Nobody rings a bell at the market bottom. And the data actually shows that missing just the 10 best market days can cut your 30-year returns nearly in half. The absolute best recovery days almost always happen right after the absolute worst ones. Wealthy retirees just don't try to time this. They automate their contributions, ignore the terrifying headlines, and just let time do the heavy lifting for them.
Section 3. Unseen healthcare and fees. The hidden financial drains. These are the costs that quietly bleed accounts completely dry, often sneaking up on you until the bill is quite literally sitting right on your kitchen table.
Mistake number 3 is assuming Medicare has you completely covered. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. $165,000. That staggering number is the average lifetime out-of-pocket healthcare cost for a retiree couple. Why? Because Medicare simply doesn't fully cover things like dental, vision, hearing, or long-term care. If you aren't prepared, this one thing alone can totally break your nest egg. But the wealthy fix this early by using a health savings account, or HSA, to grab a seriously unique triple tax advantage. And they plan for this while they are still working. The money goes in tax-free, it grows tax-free, and it comes out tax-free as long as it's used for medical expenses. Honestly, if you have access to one of these and you're ignoring it, you are literally leaving free money on the table.
Mistake number 4 is ignoring hidden fees. Now, a 1% fee sounds totally harmless, right? Like, no big deal. But it's not. Fees compound exactly like your market returns do, except they compound in reverse. Over a 30-year span, a tiny, seemingly harmless 1% fee can actively siphon away 25 to 30% of your total life savings. This means you absolutely have to demand transparency. Ask your advisor, what am I actually paying? Wealthy folks rely on low-cost index funds, and they ask their financial advisors very direct questions about expense ratios. If your advisor kind of dances around this question or gets vague, actually scratch that. If they do anything but give you a straight, clear answer, it's not a coincidence. It is a glaring red flag.
All right, Section 4, Family and Withdrawal Flaws, Emotional and Strategic Errors. Now, logic often goes completely out the window when family and daily bills get involved.
Mistake number 5 is letting your retirement bleed out to prop up an adult child's lifestyle. Look, we all want to help our kids, of course we do, but every single dollar that goes toward them is a dollar that isn't compounding for your own future. You absolutely have to secure your own oxygen mask first. Because no one can take out a loan for your retirement. It's a harsh reality, but think about it. You can borrow for a house, your kids can borrow for college, but you cannot take out a loan for retirement.
If you drain your accounts in your 60s and run out of money in your 80s, your kids will simply inherit a much, much harder financial burden later on. Wealthy retirees set those firm boundaries early. Help if you can, for sure, but never at the cost of your own ultimate security.
Mistake number 6 is having zero defensive game plan. Look, saving money is playing offense, but withdrawing it, that is defense. Winging your withdrawals just to cover your monthly bills is a terrible strategy. Wealthy retirees rely on structured, flexible plans based on current market conditions. If you pull cash out arbitrarily just to pay the electric bill during a massive market downturn, you are permanently locking in those losses at the worst possible time. Having a flexible withdrawal plan before panic sets in is absolutely mandatory. The wealthy adjust how much they withdraw and exactly where they pull it from based on the market, not based on fear.
Section 5. The Retirement Tax Trap. The final climax. You know, you can do every single other thing perfectly right, and this will still catch you completely off guard.
Mistake number 7 is forgetting that traditional IRA money is tax-deferred, not tax-free. When you hit age 73, the IRS forces you to take required minimum distributions whether you need that income right then or not. And that often shoves you right into a higher tax bracket. Eventually, the IRS always comes to collect.
But wealthy retirees don't get caught in this trap because they diversify across 3 distinct tax buckets: traditional accounts, Roth accounts, and taxable accounts. By spreading your money out like this, you get to decide what your tax bill looks like each year, instead of letting the IRS dictate the terms. This keeps way more of your own money working for you.
Finally, Section 6. Building your wealth system and demystifying the fix. Because understanding all these mistakes is really only half the battle, right? Implementing the fix is how you actually secure your future over the long haul.
It's not a secret, it's a system. There are no hidden insider tricks here. What actually separates a secure, wealthy retirement from a totally stressful one is purely the discipline of following a conscious system, making those choices that protect your money year after year. So, don't try to change everything all at once. Which one of these 7 mistakes will you fix today? Pick the single mistake from this explainer that hit you the hardest. Maybe it's getting your cash invested, checking your fees, or finally setting that financial boundary with your family. Fix it this week and start building your financial defense immediately. I'll leave you with this. If you want to protect your future self, what is the one wealth training habit you're going to break right now?